you've been learning a lot more about how all 4 of these kids died. Can you take me through it?
Yeah, I mean, what an emotional day. And then all of a sudden the document dump began. They didn't waste any time. Moscow police has been releasing all sorts of documents. We've got a team like frantically going through them. You mentioned the autopsy reports. Let's start there. I'm going to read through these, and it's difficult to talk about. I mean, like what you just said about Kaylee and how many times they were stabbed. It's awful. But let me read you through what we know. I'll start with Ethan Chapin. This is from his autopsy report. Fatal stab wound under left clavicle, severed his subclavin vein and subclavin artery, jugular vein severed, only had sharp force injuries, wounds caused by sharp object like knife. Xanacronodal, 1 laceration on her right lung, 2 lacerations in her heart. She had 50+ stab wounds, mostly defensive. So we knew that Kaylee fought back, but now 50+ stab wounds, mostly defensive with Xana. Only had sharp force injuries. Madison Mogan, left lung laceration, liver laceration, only had sharp force injuries. And then Kaylee Gonzalez, there was a left lung laceration, a liver laceration. Think about what was going on here. 2 subdural bleeds, stab behind her clavicle, cut her subclavicle vein and artery, sharp force injuries, asphyxial injuries, so, suffocated, blunt force injuries. This is kind of where the question about the second weapon has come in. And then 20+ stab wounds on Kaylee Gonzalez.
Yeah, well, Bryan, that might make a little more sense as to why we're learning also that some of the colleagues at Washington State University said they saw Bryan Kohberger with injuries on his knuckles and scratch marks, what seemed like scratch marks on his face. So this makes a lot more sense. There was a pitched fight, at least on the 3rd floor, and it appeared on the 2nd floor as well with Xana. I also have not seen anything yet, and I just want to correct some of the reporting that's out there. I have not seen any reporting that there was carving into, Ethan Chapin's leg. That was something that made a huge headline, and it was very distressing to hear it. It just says these sharp injuries, but who knows if we'll see more. Can I ask you also about the neighbor and Bethany, both telling the police about a strange explosive sound, like a firework. What can you tell us about that?
That's about all we know. And it's the first, I mean, there's little things that we've heard here and there. I have never heard this before until this came out in the documents that that Bethany and the neighbor both heard something that sounded like a firework. I've been trying to think of what that is. You might have a better idea than me. I have no idea. I mean, maybe something from the car speeding away. That's the best that I could think of.
Or something fell over in the house on a hard surface and it sounded like it broke. I mean, it is a really tough one to put together, but they both heard it. A neighbor heard it and Bethany heard it. Okay, the other information that Kohberger's job looked like it was in trouble. They had some screenshots. The police officers had screenshots from text messages between 2 of the Washington State University professors.
Yeah, and we had heard rumblings that he had issues, obviously, when he was the TA there, and issues with students and other professors, and he, wasn't keeping his job. I want to read you this text message, though. This is what, we never seen this before. This is one professor writing this to another professor. We need to do an intervention with Kohberger. She is going to try to gather information, but apparently he's offended several of our female students, which again goes back to some of our reporting from early on when we were at the school talking to people, that he had issues with the female students.
Right, and also in those documents, apparently a female student at his college, WSU, said that she saw photos of herself and of her friends on his phone on the Dateline documentary. So they didn't even know that they were on his phone until they saw the Dateline documentary. But she says she said Bryan Kohberger used to sit close to her in class when he showed up for class, often late. Let me move to the stalking issue, because we all assumed that investigators would tell us that Bryan Kohberger stalked one or more of these kids at 1122 King Road, but it turns out he just might be bizarre. Maybe he did, maybe he didn't. There's reports that there were people in the woods, that the kids at 1122 saw strange figures in the woods, that Murphy the dog would go running to the woods and wouldn't come back quite often. But then there's this discussion about a woman who talked to the police about being matched with Kohberger on Tinder.
Yeah, and this was kind of crazy. You're right, though. We don't have any proof from police that he was stalking them. He may have been, but the police never had any evidence. We asked specifically about that today. But this is the woman who matched with him on Tinder, and I'm going to read this because I want to get it right. She says that she was talking about horror movies with Kohberger. He asked her what she thought would be the worst way to die, and she said with a knife. And then Kohberger asked her to do something to the effect of, he said something like a K-bar, which we all know what that means. I mean, K-bar knife is the knife he used to kill these 4 kids, the knife sheath they found in the house. She said she didn't know what that was. She had to Google it. She stopped talking to him because he weirded her out, which, yeah, I mean, I think that would weird anybody out. And I can only imagine what she's thinking now, knowing all the details of everything that went down.
Well, and you know, honestly, who knows? Who knows if he stalked her, if he was thinking about her as a target before he ultimately chose these kids at 1122 King. There was also some investigation that went on at the Latah County Jail. They started asking other inmates there questions about their fellow inmate. And a guy who, I guess, had one of the cells close by in Latah, from August 24 to September 24, he had some observations. What did the police officers reveal today about that?
Yeah, so the inmate said that Kohberger, and I'm going to read this again because this is from the police report, said that Kohberger was the smartest person he encountered in jail, but that he became annoying. Kohberger would wash his hands dozens of times a day. You know, he was a germaphobe, so that's not a shock. Spend an hour in the shower. Said Kohberger would be up all night. He could hear Kohberger moving around at night, and says that Kohberger would take a nap during the day. And, you know, it's interesting that they went back and talked to some of these inmates, because when I was in the prison yesterday, you mentioned at the top of the show, they've now moved Kohberger into the Idaho prison system. What they told me yesterday is they are going to go through all of the electronic communications of prisoners in the system that he may be around to see who has been talking about him. And that's how they're going to determine what block he may go into, even though he's likely going to be in isolation, which I found very interesting. They can actually search through all of the communication that the prisoners have been having with family and such and see who seems to be the most interested in Kohberger.
So fascinating. And we learned today that all of the conversations that Bryan Kohberger had on his tablets and phones in both Ada County and Latah County, it's up to the sheriffs in those 2 counties as to whether they will release those communications to the public. We're hoping maybe they will, but that's in the future.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.